Now I'm really sorry, there are some times, particularly when you're making gardening films, that you simply cannot get everything right, and this time is one of those times, because we're going to talk about rhubarb, and I ought to have some rhubarb to show you, but we've eaten it, and it's the wrong time of the year to get rhubarb from the shops. But I want you to just imagine something. I want to show you something from here. I'm going to take this privet leaf off, and I don't know if you can see that on the end, right on the end there, there's a little stalk. Can you see that? Now imagine that little stalk is called a petiole, and in rhubarb, and the only other plant I can think of is gunnera, in rhubarb that petiole is that big, and that's what we eat. So when you're growing rhubarb, you're actually growing petioles like that, and you'll have to forgive the noise as well, because there's a lot of traffic about today, but never mind. So rhubarb is actually the action of growing petioles. Now the bit that we eat is long and red and it's very, very, very sweet, and as the summer turns into the autumn, the leaves die back and the petioles go away. We've usually taken them all off anyway, and you're left with this thing. I've got soaking in water a seriously ugly looking thing. It looks as though it's come from an alien world, and I suppose in a way it has. Because when you get rhubarb, and to be honest the best way of getting rhubarb is from one of your mates who are digging it up and breaking it down like we are, they come in these things. Now this one's covered in moss. I rescued this from a particularly damp part of the garden, and you can see here there are two crowns. There's one here and one here, and they've got leathery sort of browny leaves on them, and attached to both of them are these two, they look like roots, but in actual fact they're rhizomes. A rhizome is an underground stem, and this rhizome is absolutely packed with starch, and so this is what keeps the plant going next year. Now we're going to divide this into two by cutting through there. So this one is going to go with this bud, this one and this together. Now if you look at this, it was rotting. Now I've rescued most of it and I've soaked it in water for about 3 days. So I'm going to do something special with this piece, but this piece is going directly into the ground. Now this is Victoria, I think. It's been in the ground for about 4 years, and we've only got two. These are called crowns, and they're kind of extensions of the stem, and they're full of buds, and this is where the leaves are going to come off next year, so that hopefully we'll get a good crop. More about that in a second. So the most important thing, having soaked it for a couple of days, because these dry out so quickly, and once they've dried out they're really difficult to get going again, we're going to plant them. The wounded one we're going to plant in a box, and the healthy looking one we're going to plant in the ground. So, good sharp knife. And quite literally we're going to simply cut right down here, so that we have, and then that's just attached, it'll be fine. Look at the stem work, and the inside of the plant is hollow. You see that's actually earth in the middle of the plant that's filled up the spaces inside there, and we'll get new vascular tissue between here and the bud. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to plant this one. I don't know if you can see that, it got rotted, so I've trimmed most of it away, and I'm hopefully going to save this. Here is you can see the buds, one here, of next year's plant. So get rid of our water. Now this box simply contains good quality compost, and it's had a bit of manure, well rotted manure, thrown in. When we're burying that one in the ground in a moment, we're going to have added quite a bit of manure to the bottom of the hole, so that's going to go really richly. And this is simply going to be completely buried. So that there is none of it showing, and we're going to put this in a cool greenhouse. Round about end of February, early March, I'll be checking for buds growing on here, and if that occurs, then we're okay. But this little baby, we're going to take away and bury in the ground. Now here's our hole down here that we've dug, and we've lined the bottom of this with some good quality compost with about a 50-50 good well rotted manure. And this is now going straight into the ground, and I'm going to cover it up completely so that the whole plant is nice and loosely covered. I'm going to remember where it is, because later on in the year, around about December, I'm going to cover this with a mulch of good quality compost, good quality manure, 50-50, and then I'm going to top the lot of that with some straw. So inside there, it's a nice, warm, easy made bed for hopefully some great rhubarb. Now, when you plant rhubarb, and particularly when you get a new plant and you bought it from the garden centre or wherever you get them from, you have to allow the plant time to produce good quality petioles, some good quality. We call them fruit, don't we? But it's really a vegetable. It's a weird thing. So in the first year, feed it in the spring, feed it in the summer, and don't take any rhubarb. In the second year, feed it in the spring, feed it in the summer, and between spring and summer, take maybe 10%, maybe 4 or 5, enough for one good pie during the course of the spring. And then the year after, then you can take half of it and really begin to enjoy. But this bed here we're going to have 5 or 6 plants, so we'll have enough rhubarb to keep even me satisfied for the rest of the summer.